Well, hello, hustler. Welcome to another episode of the Wellness Hustle. I'm Brit Tincup. I'm a creative designer, a serial entrepreneur who lived with chronic stress that had me testing every health and fitness tip and trick that would make me feel like myself again. And I'm joined by my co-host, Sasha Fisher, an ex-pro athlete, personal trainer, and nutritional therapy practitioner with years of experience helping high-achieving individuals to reach their health and fitness goals. We're here to redefine what wellness means, simplifying health, fitness, and self-care, empowering you to fuel ambition and embrace wellness, because we believe that hustle isn't a bad word. When applied properly, it's a superpower. Now let's jump in. All right, welcome back to the Wellness Hustle. We are so happy to have you here again. This is our 4th episode. Thank you for tuning in. If you've been here the whole time, we appreciate you so much. So the way we decided to do this podcast is Sasha and I sat down at a coffee date and we were like, how can we work together? And we were thinking of something completely different than this. We did not think podcast
at all.
But as we started talking, we realized how passionate we are about really similar lanes. We had a lot of overlap. And a big thing for me is being intentional. Like, I just want to make sure that every time I show up into a situation that I'm being intentional about the way that I'm showing up, because I can be really chaotic. And obviously, like, nutrition is a big thing for you. Sasha brought up this thing. She calls it north to south nutrition, and it blew my mind. So it would be absolutely insane if we did not immediately kick off with understanding what that is. So what is north to south nutrition?
It's an idea that your nutrition starts from the top of your body. So if you think about it, like, you smell the food first, then you see the food, then you taste food, you chew it, you swallow, you digest, and you know what happens next.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yes.
So that's the idea of north to south. And if it doesn't happen that way in all of those things, and you would ask, how would it not happen? And I will explain, then you're not gonna digest properly, you're not gonna absorb properly. So I always start with my clients explaining to them how important it is to actually have proper north to south nutrition.
Yeah.
So, small story. Everybody gone through airport and smelled the cinnamon buns.
Oh my God.
What's that's happening? Like right now,
I'm salivating.
Correct.
I'm literally salivating right now.
Correct. So this is a perfect example of north to south, because you smelled something, it triggered something in your mouth and your brain, and your body started to get prepared for that food because you smelled sugar and carb in the air. So now your mouth is starting to, I know I'm like salivating here, like Newfoundlands. So your mouth started to get prepared, and it sends enzymes into your mouth to break down the carbs and the sugars that you're going to eat. Wow. So say if you're one of those people who like to multitask, you maybe have 6 kids, or you have multiple jobs, whatever, you're running around, you're not smelling your food. You're not really looking at your food. You're just throwing it down, swallowing without chewing. Your digestion doesn't start in your mouth. Like, your body is not gonna prepare itself to break down the food in the mouth. And it's very important, because fats and carbs start to break down in your mouth. Your proteins start to break down in your belly, like in your stomach. Reason because all pathogens come in form of protein. So it's our way of defending ourselves, because we have high stomach acid that will kill the pathogens. So that's the idea. So if you're not smelling your food, if you're not chewing it properly, you're not breaking it down in your mouth, you're swallowing it, your stomach is not ready to break it down, to digest properly. So it goes down the path into your gut, but it's not pre-digested. So then you creating digestive trouble in your gut.
Okay, so I want to pause real quick. And I want to kind of like I want to really like nitty gritty this. Yes, you know what I mean? Okay, so there's 2 main pieces that I want to just like make sure
people
that
understand.
like if you layman's terms, like I'll break it all the way down. So you said I want to break down what starts breaking down in your mouth again. You said it is fiber and fats.
No, carbohydrates. And fiber is not a form of carb. So carbohydrates and fats break down in your mouth. So you have to chew. Your grandma was right. You have to chew. And one thing, you want to chew your liquids and you want to drink your solids, meaning you want to chew until your food becomes almost liquefied. And if you're drinking protein shake, you want to chew that swoosh around. So you release the enzyme in your mouth and start breaking down that protein shake, because a lot of times you chug it down and you didn't have a chance of really understanding what you just drank.
Do you feel like, so when you're eating the protein shake and you're like kind of swishing it around in your mouth, sometimes I feel like I have a protein shake and I'm like, I'm hungry 2 seconds later. So like, does that actually help it absorb into your body better?
Yes. 2 things comes to mind. First, yes, you did not swoosh it around enough. You probably did not pay attention that you had that. Also, maybe you did not have enough protein and good fat in your shake. You probably, if you like those Instagram moments or TikTokers where you see they put like 5,000 different fruit in a smoothie. Yeah. That will set you up for like a sugar bomb and blood sugar roller coaster later in the day.
Okay.
So you want to put, we can do the whole podcast on how to make your protein shake properly. But yes, if you're not putting enough protein, fiber, and good fat in your protein and you're not swooshing it around, protein shake, then you're going to get hungry pretty quick.
I feel like I need to change the way I'm doing my protein shake because I'm doing just like the powdered protein and it does have, I think, like 15 grams of carbohydrates in it and like 22 grams of protein, but it's just that I don't put anything else in it.
Yeah.
And I probably, we can get into that on another podcast.
Let's do episode just about the protein shake.
I would love that. The other thing you mentioned, since we're on the topic of protein, is pathogens. So what exactly are pathogens and how are they like directly applied to, like how do you start talking about like proteins being connected to pathogens? So like talk to me about
that. Pathogens are things that kind of harm us, like bacteria, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to get sick, right? So like dirty stuff you touch and you maybe didn't wash your fruits or vegetables proper way, or maybe you bought your sandwich somewhere and it had like some kind of bacteria on it, whatever. Okay. So it's going to be in the form of protein. And then you eat, if your stomach is strong enough, then you can kind of kill it, hopefully. Yeah.
Through protein consumption.
Yeah. Because pathogens are in the form of proteins, just the way they're built.
Got it. Mm-hmm. My mind is being blown right now. I love this so much. Okay. So just to like wrap this all up so I really clearly understand.
Yep.
So north to south nutrition is seeing your food.
Yeah.
And it's starting the digestion process.
You gotta smell it too.
And then the next is you're smelling it. Mm-hmm. And then, which is the Cinnabon reference, which immediately made me drool, which was the proof of the enzymes in my mouth, trying to break it down. And then you're tasting it.
Right.
So when you're tasting it, like what exactly is happening there? Did we touch on that very specifically?
You have to chew. You have to chew and break it down.
Okay.
Yes. So you kind of help your stomach to break down the food. If you are like my dog who just gobbles down the food, first of all, their digestive tract is much shorter and their stomach acid is much stronger.
Okay.
But for humans, we need to chew to help your stomach to break it down, more efficiently. Pre-chew, kind of think of it, you're helping your stomach to break it down because you first break down your food in your mouth. So don't rely on your stomach just to break it down. If you don't chew it properly, what happens is just the solid pieces of food, not to gross anybody, but they're going to go down to your stomach. Your stomach has a harder time to digest. That's where you get bloated, possibly, right? And then if it's having hard time to digest, then some of the things, especially carbs, can feed up the higher digestive tract bacteria, not such a good bacteria. So not to scare anybody, but that's how dysbiosis happens.
Okay.
So then the gut bacteria in the upper GI gets more robust and populated. So then you're craving more sugars, more carbs, you're not chewing it. So it's like a vicious cycle of you getting sicker. That's where you might get a diarrhea or constipation type of thing. So so you see how all that could be really important for your gut health and for your overall well-being. Just something simple that your grandma said, you got to chew your food.
And like, when you're saying, so because we're talking about like, okay, your upper GI and you're having these issues, you're bloated, you have diarrhea, like all these different things. Heartburn?
Yeah.
Like, is that linked in there too?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you did not chew your food. 100%.
Because as you're saying that, I'm like, it's logical to me that like, if you did not chew your food well enough, then you're going to have, like, it's going to get stuck up under that ribcage. Like, I'm just envisioning like my body physically. And I'm like, yeah, my heart starts to have like.
Well, it's also a lot of acid in your stomach, right? So we can work with nutrition on that as well. When you have a very acidic stomach.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's something that also can be addressed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
we should do a topic on that. Episode on that.
Oh dear. So much nutrition. I hope you guys enjoy it.
I love this stuff. I could geek out on this all day long. And as you're saying these things too, I like think of things in my own life, intentionality, like we were talking about. And I'm just thinking about like, I'm very fascinated with psychology and like the brain and why we make the decisions that we make as human beings. And so I'm thinking like, when I'm thinking of north to south nutrition, you're talking about like literally like seeing it, smelling it, then your mouth starts to, and then you're moving it into the gut and like that whole entire process. My mind is thinking like, if I see something, like if I see a Cinnabon, I used to, my old self would eat that Cinnabon with absolutely no friction in between me and purchasing that Cinnabon.
Absolutely. I'm going like a zombie, like walking. Yeah.
And then once I started to get my nutrition under control, I was like, hold on a second. That makes me sick.
Yeah.
And I don't have the time
to
be sick.
Yeah. And I don't want it. Like you don't, like all of a sudden you don't want it. That smell doesn't trigger like the hunger in you.
And as
the desire.
When you were talking about the cinnamon rolls, I was thinking about my own sourdough cinnamon rolls that I make with like a cleaner sugar. Like I have like, you know, like coconut sugar, things like that. That was what was making me salivate. And I was like, oh, I should make those again. And then I'm like, but if I make them, I have to give them away because if I see them in my kitchen and I smell them in my kitchen and there's not a lot of resistance between me and that Cinnabon, I will eat it.
100%.
And then that spikes my blood sugar because it's still sugar. And then I'm in a whole state of discomfort and kind of talking about the cycle that you were talking about where you like are craving more sugar. It puts you in that cycle where you're just like, oh, okay.
But you can also, say you want to make your Cinnabons that are cleaner, they're better for you. Like, why not? It's holiday, you made the Cinnabons, so maybe you make a couple for yourself and the rest for your family and friends. But then have them for breakfast with side of like omelet or eggs.
Okay.
Right? And so that way you have your protein, you have your good fat, and you have your carb together. So that way, don't just eat one Cinnabon with coffee. That's going to be a headache later. But just give yourself some protein on the side. And that way you're not going to feel as croggy later.
I love that. And then just going back to like seeing, smelling, tasting. And then to me, it's more of a circle for me. Like when you're thinking of it, I feel like it goes north to south and then almost goes back north again.
Sure.
Because for me, I'm like, so when I was getting really sick throughout my life, and we couldn't figure out, there were things that would make me, I want to use the word safe. Like I would feel safe and I would feel like if I ate them, I wouldn't get sick because I had proof of that. So then when I would see those items, it brought me a sense of comfort.
Yeah. And security.
And
right?
security.
Yep.
And so it's like, once you start to develop this healthy habit, this north to south nutrition, you just start with understanding like what you see and like working your way through, and like kind of our previous episode of nutrition is kind of what I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah. You're connecting dots. Like, okay, this is what happens after I eat this. So then eventually we talked about this off mics where usually people say 80-20 nutrition, right? So you do 80 good, 20 you naughty, whatever to get results. But eventually your 20, the naughty ones become not as naughty. Like your naughty becomes cleaner, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the pizza that I used to order in college from Papa John's with that garlic butter.
Ooh.
Oh my God, girl. Now I don't want it. I'm craving my own pizza I make at home with all these wonderful ingredients
Yeah.
like buffalo mozzarella and fresh basil and, all of the things. Like, that's what I want. So
Yeah.
your 20 becomes cleaner eventually.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, I love that. And then I want to talk about, you also mentioned eating versus absorbing, and I haven't
Mhm.
quite like wrapped my head around this. So can you talk to me a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So this is where I explain north to south digestion to my clients, because you can eat all you want. Same with drinking water, but if your body is not absorbing it, then you're not reaping the benefits of the nutritious meal that you just prepared for yourself. And the way to do it is, obviously, you have to chew your food, like we just said. You have to be present. So scrolling through the phone, maybe not the best thing to do, or answering work emails and eating at the same time, not the best thing, because you need to be present, chew, be mindful, and then your body will break it down and will absorb it into the bloodstream or stomach lining, go through whatever, each nutrient does its own thing, but absorb. And then I always tell people, okay, food is building block for your body. We are rebuilding new cells every 3 days. So to rebuild cells, you need to have building blocks. Like if you're building house, you need bricks, right?
Yeah.
So if you need bricks for your house, and I'll bring you like some shitty bricks, they're like just gonna crumble. Your house is not gonna be amazing. It's not gonna last forever.
No.
So for you, people say, oh, it's just food. No, actually, everything you put in your body is going to be broken down and utilized in your body to build something else. So if you want healthy cells, which make healthy organs, which makes healthy body, you need healthy bricks to build it. And if you're going to get shitty, you're going to have shitty organs and you're going to have shitty body. I'm sorry. That's just the bottom line.
There's no way to work around it.
No,
and
it isn't.
I dealt with the absorbing with water, because when I moved back to Tahoe, I was having massive issues with like staying hydrated, because it's so, I mean, we live in the desert and high altitude mountains. So it's
yes,
just like dry as can be.
Yeah.
And like, you told me to put salt in my water, like just some like sea salt, like really sea salt, high quality sea salt. And it's made such a big difference for me.
Yeah. And with water, it's a little different. So I see people with those big jugs walking around and they jog it down. For you, it's much more beneficial to sip it throughout the day than jog it, because your body's going to absorb it better.
Yeah.
It's supposed to just spin it all out, because it's so much volume comes into your stomach and your bladder, and you just like get rid of it. But as you sipping it throughout, it's much better for your absorption. And also, there's so many electrolyte sticks now, and I have such a
You hate them.
I don't love them. I don't want to name names, but there's so many famous ones right now. And I don't know why we need to put coloring in them. I don't know why they need to be purple or green or red. I don't know why. We're not a bunch of little toddlers. Like, we can just have white powder, right? Yeah, we can all agree on that. And then also, and also, why do we need to put all this natural flavors and sugars and all of these things in your hydration stick? We're trying to hydrate you. So the easiest thing to do is just put sea salt in your water or under your tongue. You're actually going to do even better. If you put it under your tongue and you drink your water, you're going to absorb that. And it's natural electrolytes, sea salt. It's all it is. It's natural electrolyte, like made by Mother Nature. You don't need to add anything else to it. It's all marketing, pretty much.
It's all marketing.
Yeah.
It always comes down to marketing. That's like where my little entrepreneur brain comes in, and I'm
oh yeah,
no, that's why that is.
and sell it to people like
for
$50.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
you touched a little bit on eating and like being present with your food, and you had talked to me about this, and this was something that I'm good at it during breakfast, but like all my other meals, I'm not very good at it. But it's like sitting down and not being on my phone and scrolling or reading the news or trying to catch up on emails, because I, as a high achiever, like I like to do a lot of things at once. We talked about stacking.
Yes.
So this is the one area we do
not want to stack. We don't want to stack your meal with the rest of the things that you're doing.
And what I've noticed for myself, and I just want to talk about some like roadblocks as the client, right? Like when I sit down, and this is something that's like, we should be thoughtful about as a society, because it's concerning. I I am alone. Like I am a single woman.
Yeah.
So a lot of my meals I eat alone.
Okay.
And what I have found is when I have to put my phone down, it's really uncomfortable for me. I want to speed my meal up because I'm like uncomfortable sitting and eating a meal alone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not so much that I'm like eating the meal alone. It's like, what do I even think about? Like what? And then all of a sudden I'm thinking about how long it's taking me to chew. And then I'm like, well, then I need to speed it up. I need to chew faster. And then I'm like, why are you chewing like this? It's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm going through all of these weird emotions.
Awkward. We forgot how to be with food on our own. That's modern society with the phones and scrolling.
Wild.
And so wild. It's so awkward. We're making something awkward. There's nothing awkward about it. Like,
no.
Right? So I think the best way to do it, if you are a single person, if you don't have a body to like you are sharing your meal with and you're having a conversation, right? I think you could listen classical music.
Okay.
Right? Or like, yeah, or you could listen a podcast if you wanted to, but something not stressful, something like, light.
Yeah.
You could do that if that will help you to slow down. And it's just you want to keep both hands on your utensils, right?
Yeah.
Chew, cut, eat, not scrolling, being present.
Also, manners, you guys.
Manners.
Where the fuck have they gone? Like, honestly, like, have some manners. I was thinking about this recently because my mom sent me to like cotillion and like all of these different manner schools when I was young. So I had to like learn about all of the utensils and things like that. But I was cutting my food and I was like, I'm supposed to switch. Like, it occurred to me, when you're cutting your food, you're supposed to take the second to put down your knife and switch from your non-dominant hand to your dominant hand.
Is that American way?
To feed yourself.
That is American way?
That is an Americanized standard, which is why I think it's all marketing.
Well, the European way, you never switch your fork and knife. You keep your knife in your right and you keep your fork in your left. And that's how you eat. If you're switching, it's like a sign of bad manner. Isn't that funny?
This is blowing my mind right now. I love this shit so much. I could nerd out on this.
So funny.
On like cultures and things like that.
Yeah.
But do you want to know what I was also thinking about?
What?
It is because when I was doing that, I was like, it is so unnatural for me to, why am I wasting time switching to my dominant hand again? I need to be using my knife. Why wouldn't it's not hard for me to take my left hand and put the food in my mouth.
Right.
I don't need to put the knife down.
I don't know. It's yeah.
The other thing I was thinking, because I was blow drying my hair and I did like an actual blowout, and I was like, I looked up so many YouTube videos on how to do this and I forgot everything they told me. But when I started to just do the blowout, like how it came naturally to me, it was the easiest fucking thing I've ever done in my life. And I was like, wait, what? We make things way too complicated these days. I think like as an entire, like we're just making things too complicated.
Yeah, go back to the basics.
Yeah. And so like just eat your food, enjoy it, be present with your food.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about, you kind of brought up like, don't eat your food. Like if you're going to listen to a podcast, it shouldn't be a stressful podcast.
Right.
So why is that?
Well, because digestion, if you guys know anything about our nervous system, there's sympathetic and parasympathetic. So sympathetic nervous system kicks in when we are under stress. Okay, so it's like back in the day, we were chased by the lions. Like that's when it kicks in, our adrenaline goes up, and we can run the fastest, we can jump the highest, we can scream the loudest.
Yep.
Our heart rate races, beating hard. But what happens on the other hand, we don't digest our food because it takes a lot of energy. So digestion kind of shuts down, right? And all other processes in your body, like the renewing things that are happening, like in your brain, in your organs, everywhere, like that kind of stops. It takes like the back seat because we need to survive now. We're not striving, we're surviving. So everything kicks in to survive. So if you are in a stressed environment, if you feel stressed from work or you're eating at work and you're stressed, you have a deadline or whatever, you just, not only you're present, you're not chewing, you're just kind of shoving the food in. It's probably not the best choice of the food either, something quick you grabbed somewhere, and you're not in parasympathetic zone where your digestive actually works. So now your digestive system is not working because you're in sympathetic, stress zone. and you're not chewing and you're swallowing. So this is just another way of creating a disaster for yourself when it comes to digestion. Because not only that your body is not open to digest things, you are not making it easy either. If that makes sense.
So you're actually like, by stacking in this sense, you're
Yeah.
actually being less efficient.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Wild.
Yes. So just remember, digestion happens in parasympathetic zone when you are rested, when you are not as stressed, like you just stress as much as you can be. I mean, we live in a stress society, but you want to take the stress off your mealtime as much as you can. And yeah, so that's when the magic happens.
I'm literally sitting here thinking, like, our listeners are probably like, I just had a very stressful meal with my entire family over the holidays.
Yes.
And didn't digest any of Christmas dinner. No, I'm kidding. But it is like, it is true. Like, and even when you think about the way that like restaurants are designed and things like that, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's fast food restaurants, and then there's the other ones where you sit down and you have the candle lights and the flowers and the beautiful napkins and the silverware. Like, so how can you create that in your own home? Don't create the fast food environment. Like, create the fine dining experience every time you can. I think that's where you're going to be in the most parasympathetic state.
I love that. Okay, so I just want to touch on, since we're talking about stress, emotional eaters. What's going on there? Because
I think there's two types. I think you and we kind of chatted before, and we both on the same kind of a.
I don't eat when I'm stressed.
We don't eat. We just shut down. Our bodies know it's not gonna digest well for us, so we're just not gonna even try.
I like, even as you just said that, I was like, when I'm stressed, if there is not a present threat right in front of me that I have to attack, I shut down entirely. I'm like, no.
Yeah. So there's two types of people. One type is just shuts down, doesn't eat, right? And kind of holds everything in. And the second type is stress eaters. And I've seen people stress eating. I'm not one of them, but that could be also a really tough place to be, because you're just constantly eating, right? And not feeling fulfilled or full or satisfied. And what comes out of it, obviously weight gain, obviously not feeling good. You're already stressed, and now you're making yourself sick with overeating. So there's that could happen as well.
It's interesting too, because even as I think about like when I get into those stressful states and I'm not eating, and then I become not stressed, I find like this like insatiable, like I come out of it like screaming at the top of my lungs practically. Like it's like such an intense, like, have you ever woken up in the middle of the night and you're like, I am so starving all of a sudden, but it's like I finally calmed down and now I like all I want to do. And then next thing I know, I'm eating like a bag of chips in bed.
I have not done that, but that's never gonna happen to me.
Cool. No, that's cool. That's just me. That's great. Anybody else? You'll just send me a DM to validate me.
Yeah,
no, I'm kidding.
Eating bag of chips in the middle of the night.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Okay, so aside from my binge eating chips in the middle of the night, my key, and that's a strange thing to do. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally teasing. The key takeaways for me from this episode are like the gut brain connection, and the fact that your digestion actually starts with your eyes and your nose and then your mouth and moving all the way down. I think that is like, and just making sure that you're getting the most out of the food that you're eating. So like, instead of just like getting what you can get, find foods that first off, you would be happy to have your body absorb the nutrients from. And then like starting that process in your mouth by chewing it, like chewing your food.
Right. Grandma was right.
And
it's so simple, you guys. It goes, like, we're not telling you anything. Here's, you know what I mean? It's just so simple, but it makes such a huge difference. Everybody can do this. Everybody can have 5 extra minutes to chew their food.
And that's what we keep, like, that's this whole podcast, right? It's like, simplify it. Like, simplify it. Eat your food and focus on eating your food. And like, do what is, like, to me, your intuition and the more that you get connected with your body, that has been really has been my biggest takeaway from the last 3 years of my life. But even like, I can be more mindful of where my head's at. Like, I can be more mindful in so many different ways. I find that my intuition has become better in all aspects of my life, because now I look at food and I'm like, oh yeah, that's my intuition saying I need that nutrient right now. Or like because you've absorbed the nutrients and you took the time to eat it, then afterwards you're more intentional, being like, yeah, wow, I really feel good right now.
Right. And you were telling me after you stopped scrolling and eating at the same time, what happened for you?
Well, I got a little bit uncomfortable, but then I started noticing that after my meal, I felt better. Like, I felt more relaxed. I felt like more energized. I don't know how to explain it really.
But you did feel a difference, you told me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I felt a huge difference. Also, I enjoyed my meal. Food is expensive.
Yes. Nowadays, yeah.
Yeah. And I I actually tasted my meal. I think sometimes like I would actually be curious to see like how often people who are eating like in that sympathetic state, that like stress state, how often you're actually even like, do you taste your food?
Do you taste your food? Do you remember you ate it? That's a lot of things happen. Like, right? You like, oh, I don't even remember I ate today or not.
I will go through a bag of chocolate chips and be like, I forgot that I ate that. Who fucking did that? It was me.
Have you ever had a moment when you ate the last one and then you like reach for another one and there's all gone and you get upset?
Who did that?
Nobody told me that was the last one.
Yeah.
I was so upset. Yeah.
And you missed it and you didn't even taste the first one.
Yeah.
I had like 4 cookies yesterday and I was like, I didn't taste any of those, so I'm going to have another one. And then I was like, wait, I forgot to taste that one because I was walking around the house eating the cookie. It's like, sit down and eat your cookie.
Very true.
And enjoy it.
And don't make crumbs everywhere. Like my husband.
Yeah.
I have to vacuum.
My mom is always like, you are tracking crumbs all over the house. I'm like, well, sorry. Okay. So we want to give you a challenge. Last week we gave you a gift and a giveaway. This week we are giving you a challenge. Sasha, what's the challenge this week?
Okay. So we want you to guys kind of play with that and create a ritual around your meal.
Yeah.
So for me, this is what I do. A lot of times when my husband and I don't eat together, like we eat dinner together, but breakfast and lunch we don't. I like to sit at the countertop in my kitchen, but I like to put everything away before I eat. So it's nice and cute. And I set up my little place where I'm eating. So it's nice and cute.
Yep.
And I just sit there and I just chew and I eat my meal. Yeah. That's what I personally do. And so that's kind of like a little place, safe place, and I'm eating and chewing, enjoying what I made, and I usually try to make it cute. I don't know. That's just me.
Aesthetics. There's something to be said about like romanticizing your life.
Yeah. That's how it makes me happy. And I have my music playing, either classical or jazz or whatever I'm in the mood for. And that's how I eat my meals.
I have a playlist that is like my chill playlist, and I turn that on, and even when I'm cooking, it's like kind of starts at the motion.
I do that too. I need your playlist.
It's good. Yeah, it's hip hop and R&B.
Oh, I like that.
A little bit of like soft rock. It's really
okay. Let's do it.
I keep adding to it. I'll send it to you, and I'll share it with you guys.
Yeah,
I might have to rename it because it's called Stony.
Okay.
When I first created it, it was like I just want to have like a relaxing vibe and just be like chill vibes. And then now it's just a playlist I play all the time. Okay, so what we would like to challenge you guys to do is to create a ritual around one meal where nothing is disturbing you and you're present with your meal. Write down in your notes app how you felt after that.
Yeah, we're curious. We want to hear from you.
Yeah. And if you guys are interested in like taking a photo, we would love to see it. So if you want to tag us in your like cute aesthetic little.
Oh yeah.
I would love to
would love to see everybody's aesthetic, like little cute plates and like little napkins and maybe like a candle of flowers or whatever you guys put around.
Take yourself on a date. I want to see it.
Yes.
Like, please. Oh my gosh, I'm dying. Now I'm like, I want ideas. So tell me.
Yeah. Same.
Tell me everything. Okay. And of course, before you guys go, we have another small favor to ask.
We just, guys, love all the feedback. Right now, this is such a new podcast for us, new avenue, and we're trying to give you the information we think you're gonna love, but also we would love to hear the feedback and see what's landing, what you guys loving, what you want to hear more of. So leave us your reviews, your feedback. We absolutely would love to hear from you guys.
Yeah. And anytime, just so you guys know, and this is with any podcast that you listen to, whenever you follow or you download or you listen to an episode and you rate it, it actually helps increase their viewership. So we would love if you guys would do that for us. Your support means the world to us, and it's what keeps the Wellness Hustle growing. So we appreciate you, and we will see you next time, hustlers.
Yeah. Bye.